moving on. Right, so you acknowledge the opinion, but don't get caught arguing about things that are irrelevant. Accept it and have your own agenda, because students will always want to derail the train, right? You got your train and you're driving it in a certain direction. Students will always want to derail it. They'll a lot of the time they will use these ad hominem tactics to derail the train. They will talk about things of no consequence. This is a person. This is bothers me so much. You want to talk about things that don't matter? That's great. Go and do it somewhere else. I want to talk about things that matter. What if what matters to you doesn't? It doesn't. It's not about me. It's about the curriculum, right? Let's get away from that. Let's step away from that. Intelligent people do two very important things. They separate the person from the argument. It's not the same thing. And they take the argument and they lift it up and they turn it around 360 degrees and they look at it from all sides. They look at the bottom and they look at the top and they look at it from all sides to try to understand everybody's perspective. Because we can never be completely sure that we're right.
Yeah.
99% is enough. I go with 99% myself. I'll go with that. But we can never be completely sure because we don't know what other information we're going to meet that changes what we know and what we think. And if you think you know, you're in for a big shock in life. Yeah, and I'm not speaking to you, I'm speaking to the students, right? Because that's what I would say
Hmm.
to the students. I say, if you think you know, then you're going to get something right and then get something right and then get something right and you're going to make a massive mistake. But that's okay because you can't live without making mistakes. So that's okay. But we just have to be careful. Begin with the first principle. All I know is that I don't know. But realize that you still have to make decisions. You can't live without making decisions. It's the great contradiction. All I know is that I don't know, but I've got to make a decision. But how can I make a decision if I don't know? Welcome to life.
Mm.
Right? Welcome to life. It's a difficult balance. Well, what if I don't know? You study a lot of information. You study a lot of information from different sources and different people. You ask a lot of questions. You ask a lot of difficult questions. You make a lot of people angry. And then you filter the information and you see what the result is and you find out what works for you and see if it works for other people as well. And you go out and you test. You test it in the real world. What's the great thing about school is actually the worst thing as well. It's the tests. You know, life itself is a test. Wherever you go, you're going to be tested, whether you want to be or not. So consider these tests as preparation for those tests. And we have to understand a number of things. The first thing is that better answers will come to us after time, but very often we don't have time.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of times when I've argued a certain point or I've said something and then later I've thought, that was wrong. After time, you realize it wasn't exactly the right thing, but that's okay because intelligent people realize that after time you can change your opinion. Yeah, but you said this before. That's right. That was at a different time in a different place. We are now at a different time in a different place. We are allowed at different times in different places in different situations
Hmm.
to have different opinions. And
Hmm.
it's okay. Yeah. And that is a result. My statement there is a result of applying logical fallacies. That people will want to put you in a box. They want to put you in a little box and say this is you and this is your opinion. And life is a bit more complex than that. And the I understand when there's almost like a panic in conversation when people are critical. It's like, why are they being critical of me? What are they being critical of? I'm doing the best I can, and all you want to do is attack me and not support me. I don't understand this. And it's um, it helps to breathe and to look for contradictions and to because th- there's contradictions in everything. We can't exist without contradiction. Love can't exist without hate. It's bizarre. And when we say we hate something, we can't say we hate something without also loving something at the same time. It's bizarre. Yeah, and the classic way to understand that is like, so you get two people, they're in love with each other, and 6 months later they hate each other, right? Yeah, it's like one can't exist without the other. The two sides of the same coin, and understanding your own hate is beneficial to developing your own love. So it's really crucial, which is why things like when governments say, well, we need to stop hate speech, it's like you can't stop hate speech without stopping love speech. Yeah, it's like we're going to ban all the bad words. Yeah, you can't ban bad things without banning good things at the same time, because what's good for one person is bad for another. Negatives are a construct of language. They're not a construct of the universe. I look out my window and I see trees. I don't see trees that don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Right, right. So the universe is entirely positive in the way that it's created. Negatives are a construct of language.
Mm-hmm.
So to use negatives is to be trapped within a negative construct of language and to not be in harmony with the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's the test. Can you spend a whole day using no negative words or negative constructions or negative sentences? That's the test. And it's kind of fun. I did this with my partner. We had this little competition where we were not allowed to use any negative phrases for 24 hours. And it is impossible. It's impossible to do it. You inevitably. But the whole point is to focus on how much negative language you are using, and we all use it much more than we think that we do. And that's the whole point. The whole point is to realize how much you use it so you can use it less. And yeah, language is the the negative construct is a language construct. So we need it to communicate, but reality is different from language. Language is the best way we have of transferring information to each other. There's nothing better yet, but we still have a long way to go and a lot to learn in that sense. Everything great is something which is in existence. That which is not in existence is almost irrelevant, and yet our dreams are important. Our dreams are important. Our ideas are important. And these, they don't exist in the real world, but they exist here. They exist here. That's powerful to realize that. I can't remember who's one of the famous artists said everything that you can think about is real. Um, because you can take the idea from your head, and yeah, and so the fact that something doesn't exist is kind of irrelevant, because we can make almost anything that we want exist, which is part of the underlying principle of the next book which I'm writing, which will be finished in about a month or 2 months. Limitless leadership. So it's the idea of not limiting we put limits on ourselves. It's terrible. And we need it sometimes. It's a contradiction. You want to go as far as you can go, but you don't want to go over the edge. Right? Most of the time, you don't want to go over the edge.
Mm-hmm.
So they are great contradictions that exist. The contradictions are everywhere. You can't speak without contradicting yourself. It's impossible. Once we understand that and come to terms with that, then we can communicate better because we don't worry about contradicting ourselves because we all do it anyway, and most of the people are not listening most of the time, so it doesn't really matter. So, and if somebody does listen and does point out the contradiction, it's a great thing because it's like, A, they were listening, thank you for listening, and B, you're helping me realize that there's either something wrong with my ideas or there's something wrong with my communication of my ideas, and that's how we get better. It's like it's like I don't disagree with your ideas. Maybe I don't like how you communicate them. Maybe that's not important. Well, whatever. We're lucky that we can live in a giant planet where we can travel most of the way around it and go to most of the places if we want and find people who have similar opinions to ourselves. So that's all good, really. It's all good. So there's maybe a few more that I'd like to talk about in the future, but it's just like a little introduction to the idea that everyone's got an opinion, but not everybody has the facts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, well, it's just something that I feel, or it seems to be, and it's okay to use that language, but you would never, you know, you'd never make an important decision based upon what seems to be. You'd make an important decision based on this and this and this
Mm-hmm.
and this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this seems to be better than that. Well, that's nice, but irrelevant because we need facts to make decisions. I feel my way to my decision. Well, that's okay as well. If that works, if it works, well, good. If you've got a better way, good. If it's different, great. Super. There's not just one correct answer to every question. Everyone's got a different perspective.